Hank here with my review of BlueAVS's BlueCaster 2. BlueAVS sent me the BlueCaster 2 for the purpose of this review. However, they don't get to see the review before it releases for everyone, and they have no input whatsoever. The review is always the review. The BlueCaster 2 is a 2-in, 4-out audio interface. Price-wise, the BlueCaster 2 has a suggested retail price of $119.99, but is currently retailing for $99.99. Build-wise, the BlueCaster 2 has a pretty decent weight and feel to it. The knobs are rock solid, and the buttons have a satisfying press to them. Plus, the visual cues on the unit are really nice. When it comes to the layout, on the top of the unit, we have 2 large gain knobs, 2 pad and mute buttons. There's a monitor output knob, 4 more knobs controlling PC mix and headphones, plus 2 buttons controlling the monitoring format, mono, stereo, or crossfeed. On the back of the device, we have a power on and off switch, 2 USB ports, power and USB connectivity, a loopback button, 2 1/4-inch headphone jacks, 2 1/4-inch monitor out jacks, 4 more buttons consisting of 2 instrument/line level and 2 for 48-volt phantom power. Then, of course, you have the 2 combo XLR inputs. When it comes to specs, the BlueCaster 2 is 24-bit, 192 kilohertz, and has a dynamic range of 103 dB. The combo jacks provide 50 dB of gain for mics, and obviously support mics or line level sources. Of course, you have 0 latency monitoring, offering mono, stereo, and crossfeed. The crossfeed is able to correct the false stereo imaging crossing signals of the channels on both ears with level and time difference. Since we have mute buttons on this device, I wanted to make sure we gave that a nice little test. So I'm going to press the mute button right now. And I pressed it again, and we're back. I don't notice any audible click. The buttons, like I said earlier, have a very satisfying press to them and really super smooth. Now with a unit like this, when you hear it's providing 50 dB of gain, you've always got to wonder, can it drive the Shure SM7B? Let's give it a shot. Back on the Shure SM7B, and just not enough gain for me before it starts getting a little bit too noisy with the preamps. So I wouldn't really recommend this particular unit for driving a Shure SM7B, something that's a super gain hungry like this. Probably going to need something that's going to push more than 50 dB of gain. But remember, you're not trying to get to 0. You're trying to get to -12, -10, -6, somewhere in there. Most people are trying to get to, so they're not clipping. I would say if you're going to spend $400 on a Shure SM7B, you're probably going to spend just as much or more on an audio interface to drive it. All right, back on the neat Worker B, and this is what it sounds like. You really don't want to go past 3 o'clock on this audio interface before the preamp starts to get really noisy, in my opinion. So I could have cranked it up all the way and got the Shure SM7B to a really good level, healthy level, but it was just too noisy with the preamp once you get past this 3 o'clock. When it comes to pros and cons, first and foremost, I think this is an excellent feature set for a budget device. Another pro, the BlueCaster 2 has an excellent build quality for this category of budget audio interfaces. Another pro, I love that you get mute and pad switch functionality built right in. That is something that you don't often see in this category. Another pro, lots of versatility with the 4 outputs, the 2 monitor outputs and the 2 headphone outputs. Love that. Another pro, you got the ability to monitor in mono, stereo, or crossfeed. Another pro, and this was always big for me, is super loud headphone output. I can't tell you just how loud these babies get. Easily able to drive my COS headphones that are really hard to push. Another pro, we have loopback on here, but I'm going to come back around to that. Another thing I really like on this is a built-in power switch. Again, in this kind of budget category, you typically don't get that, and I love that it is included on this unit. another pro. On both of my computers, I was easily able to bus power the device, and I didn't have to have it plugged into the wall or into another USB port. Another thing I really like about this is the visual cues. Each button and the knobs have lighting on it. The instrument has a little guitar that lights up when that button's on. 48 volts lights up when that's on. The lighting visual cues are well thought out and well implemented. And lastly, I do like that you get the ability to mix the PC sound and direct monitoring to your liking, which would be good for something like playing back some music to record to. When it comes to cons, obviously the elephant in the room is you're limited to 50 dB of gain, and not totally all 50 is good, clean, and usable. I would say you want to stay around that 3 o'clock range or less. I own a lot of condenser microphones, so it's not a big deal for me. But if you're someone who is only going to use dynamic microphones and you need a lot of gain, you're definitely going to need a gain booster to run some of those microphones. And obviously, tying into the 50 dB of gain limitation would be that the preamps get really noisy past 3 o'clock on the dial. And then I do have one note that I didn't put in cons because I couldn't find anybody else who was experiencing this. But in loopback mode, on occasion, I was getting an error code. And full disclosure, I am still running Windows 10. I have not upgraded to a Windows 11. This is a production machine that I'm using in the studio. Both of my computers are, and I am very slow to upgrade. So with that being said, I was getting this error code, and I'll put the number in the description that I was getting. And I was trying to figure out why it was happening. And every once in a while, I thought I had overcome it, but it was just in loopback mode while trying to record to a DAW. I tried multiple different DAWs, and it kept happening to me. However, I was unable to find any other human being that owns this device that was having that same issue. I don't know if it was just something with my particular setup and my outdated Windows, but if you had any issues like that and you own this device, please put that in the comments. If you've been commenting on prior or more recent videos and I haven't responded, I do apologize. I am in pre-production on my next movie. I do apologize, but it is very challenging juggling free podcast tools, then my audio podcast, and then the upcoming movie that we are going to be filming all summer long for release in 2027. Link in the description. But hopefully I can get things a little more balanced out here in the coming weeks and months and kind of keep up with things a lot better, but I do apologize for that. Overall, the BlueCaster 2 both looks the part and functions like an audio interface worth having on your desk. Now, I've had the PodTrack P2 as a fixture on my desk since I reviewed it. However, I took it offline and put the BlueCaster 2 in, and I haven't missed a beat. I really enjoy the loud headphone output, and I enjoy that I can just reach over, hit the mute button, and it's got a power switch. But if you're fine with the mic gain limitations, maybe you already run a condenser microphone and you want 2 channels, I think this is a really solid budget option that you should check out. Link in the description to BlueAVS's website and my Amazon affiliate link. As always, thank you for tuning in.